So, first of all, I just want to talk to you a little bit about what I've done before we started. So I've just put in a section here on either side, just creating my balance through this line. As you can see it, it's been amber round. And I've just done that before we started, so I can get the balance in with the mirror. Now, we're going to start working on this little fringe area. As you can see, I've got quite a lot of different sections here and different zones. So we're going to be using quite a lot of disconnection in this haircut. Now, what I'm looking for in the fringe is I'm looking something to be softer and more layered. So that's why my elevation has come up here. If I wanted something to be heavier, I would have brought my section lower. But because I want it to be softer, I'm going to first just bring up my first section and just start to work that in, and then just have a look at my length. Now, Amber's quite happy for her fringe to be on the longer side so we can move it around, but just having a look at that, I'm just going to take that down a little bit more. So guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Please like and share the video. If you want to let us know where you're tuning in from, that would be awesome. And we love questions, so if you have any questions, if you just want to put them in the comment section, then Fabio and Olivia will be able to read them out for me. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start over-directing the hair. So if we think of a number system, if this was section 1, we're now going to move into section 2 and over-direct that back onto section 1. What that's going to do is it's going to create more length towards the corner of the eye. So as this hair falls down, we're going to get longer through here. And I'm going to carry on in the same way. So if 2 goes to 1, then we're going to work 3 into 2, and so on. I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. So guys, let us know where you're tuning in from. Thanks again for joining us. My name's James Akers. We're at Cuttlefish Academy here, which is in Brighton Hove. So we're right down on the coast. We're about 5 minutes from the beach. And it's actually a brand new academy. So we've only opened a month ago. So we're just getting used to the space. It's beautiful to be here. We just want to really thank Hairbrained as well for giving us a chance to share with you guys today. Okay, so I'm just going to spin Amber around now so you can see what we're creating. So as you can see, we're just creating this really soft, shattered look where we're getting slightly shorter towards the middle of the nose, slightly longer towards the cheekbone, around the eye. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stand on the other side so I can maintain the same over direction on both sides. So I'm going to go back into section 1, and section 2 again is going to come into section 1. So in a minute, guys, what I'll do is I will show you my section in pattern and just show you my plan for the haircut so you can kind of have an idea of how this is going to come out. Again, if you're liking what you see, please like and share the video. It's great to be here to educate for Hairbrained. Such an amazing platform to give away free education. We really support them as they do us. Alright, so this is going to be my last section through here. And as you can see, when I'm cutting, I'm only cutting up to my first knuckle. What happens if I go past that point is I'll start to lose tension and I'll start to build weight. So by cutting up to my first knuckle, I know that I can keep control over my shape. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come through and just do a little cross check here, just to make sure we're on the right track. And I'll just clean that as we're going. But you can see we've got shorter in the centre to building up to slightly more length towards those corners. Okay, so when I spoke to Amber, she gave me some ideas about what sort of things she wanted, and we've worked together, collaborating really together on what we were going to do today. So we saw a lot of kind of shaggy pictures and textured pictures, but when I tend to work with clients or models, I think everyone has their own kind of style. And I think my style tends to be quite soft, but when I work something soft, I feel like there needs to be an element of strength within the haircut. So what we're going to do here in this area, in this zone, is we're going to be building something slightly stronger. So you'll see that my elevation is going to be much lower. So the lower we are with our elevation, we know we're going to be building a heavier shape. When we start to lift more and elevate more, we're going to be building something lighter. So I'm just going to comb this down so my fingers are right onto the skin, so I'm using no elevation. I'm just going to work in my line through there. Again, only cutting up to my first knuckle. Now after this, I am actually going to layer it, and I'm going to describe to you why, but what I want to do first is establish my outline. Now the reason I chose this length was around Amber's bone structure. So I looked at the lip line, I looked at the nose line, and I wanted to open up around the eye socket. So that's why we've chosen this length through here. And I think that the balance of the length is going to really work well with the length we have in the back. So as you can see here, I'm just going to show you quickly what our sections are doing. So I'm just going to spin Amber around quickly. And if you just pop your head down for me, darling, so that you can write down. So you can see we've got this fringe section at the front, and then these two panels through here are going to work into this back area and create a rounded layer. So when we talk round, we mean shorter at the front, getting longer towards the back. And then I'm going to do something opposing in the back areas, where we're going to come shorter in the underneath through here, leaving the weight towards the length, and then shorter again through here, leaving the weight to sit over that. And what that's going to create is just a really dishevelled, soft texture. Now, the reason why I'm doing a stronger area through this side is because this is going to be my element of strength. Where I said a minute ago that I like to create some sort of strength when there's softness, this is going to be my stronger area. And vice versa, when I'm working something much stronger, I feel like there needs to be an element of softness, just to help the shape marry together. Now guys, please let us know where you're tuning in from. Give us a shout. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate, just pop them in the comments and we'll go over those with you. So let me know as well if you can see everything okay, if everything's all good. We had this beautiful colour done earlier by one of our guys, George, here at the Hove branch. He's done this stunning blonde on the top where he used a lightener. Now I don't do colour, so forgive me if I'm saying something that doesn't make any sense, but we did this bleach over the top and then we just did some different toners. So we wanted to go for this really quite ashy grey tone on top. And then because we're creating this stronger line in the underneath, we've just gone for this really beautiful, like kind of dusty pink in the underneath, and that should just make that line pop as it dries. Okay, so I'm just going to come in now to my final section through this side. I'm always working with the small teeth of the comb when I'm working on this hair, because although the hair's bleached and it's going to expand slightly, by putting tension in the hair, it's going to allow this area to jump up slightly at the top, which means that we're going to get a slightly softer line. We're still going to have the strength there, but it's going to have an element of softness to it. And what's going to create that softness is graduation. So even though my fingers are on the skin, by just having that finger width of elevation, as I comb that down, you're going to have a slight little bit of graduation in that underneath, which is just going to allow the line to bevel under slightly more. And then what we're going to do after is we're going to come and layer all this down. Okay, and we'll talk about that when we get to that. So I'm just going to repeat this on the other side. I'm just going to get a little bit of water spray through here.
We have people from India and South Wales.
Oh, amazing. Well, welcome guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. Just give us a shout. Okay, so back to the haircut for a sec. What I'm going to do now is, again, work in parallel sections to my lines. Now, whenever I tend to work a haircut, I really like to keep my sections parallel to the line that I'm cutting. And the reason is because it makes it a lot more simple for my eyes to follow. Okay, so if my sections are off to the line that I'm cutting, your eyes will be distorted into what you're actually doing. So it's always good to keep a parallel sections to the line that you're working on. I see it all the time when I'm teaching. When people work their like one length bobs at the back, we always end up with these sections that go like this, in these big triangles. If we can just spin it around so that I can show you. I see this a lot, people working like this in these big sections, when actually 9 times out of 10 your haircut's not going to look like that. So when we're working in a nice triangular line, it's good to keep that section in parallel to that. And it takes a lot of discipline to get your section in right, you know. It's normally when we teach classes here at Cuttlefish, we really spend our time getting the sections correct, because although it seems like, you know, just a little thing, it's a really good tool to help with balancing and creating a clean haircut. Okay, so I'm just going to carry on working to exactly the same elevation throughout this zone, and making sure that I'm using the same tension as the other side, and I'm aware of where the head is. The reason why it's important where the head is because that depends on where my fingers are in space. If the head was up here, my fingers stayed the same, we're going to be creating a different angle. James? Yes.
Someone's asked, they're like pixie cuts.
Yeah.
Will this be versatile?
Yes, absolutely. This will be very versatile. The whole idea of this haircut is that it's going to move without much work. Now, Amber's hair is quite straight, naturally. So what we're trying to do is bring some texture into the haircut. Now, for me, what a good haircut is something that can move and you can wear it anywhere and it's going to work, you know? I think that when hair has to be worn in such a specific way, then it's just not suitable for the client. So for me, I think it's really important that haircuts marry and you can push them anywhere and they work anywhere. Okay, so before I go into this next section, I just want to say, for those of you that are joining, my name's James Akers. We're here at the Cuttlefish Academy in Brighton and Hove. This is my lovely model Amber here, and we've got Liv and Fabio behind the camera to answer any questions that you have. Okay, so I'm going to now work a vertical section, and you can see that my sections that I've worked through here are now joining into the back. Okay, so if I spin Amber around, you can see that this is all turned into one zone now. Okay, and this is the area that I'm going to start layering. All right, and it's going to be slightly disconnected to the fringe that I've worked previously. So I'm going to come and work a vertical section. And because the hair is bleached, I just want to really groom the hair nicely out of the way. And that's going to help me for when I blow dry later. So the hair's not always knotting up. Also, I find that working cleanly really helps creating a clean haircut. It's much nicer visually for you with your eyes and also for your client. So let's check that's in the middle. Yep. I'm just going to use a little bit of the Davines oil milk. So we work a lot with Davines. They're a great company. They really support the same kind of ethos that we do, being eco. So what the oil milk will do is it will just hydrate that hair, just allow me to get my comb through it a little bit better. So you can see where my length is there through the fringe. We can see through there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to elevate that in the same manner. So I'm still going to be working round, working shorter at the front, longer at the back. But I'm now going to be layering this slightly longer than the fringe. And for me, with my guidelines, I always tend to leave it a little bit longer than I think at first. And there's always room to take it down. So yeah, I'm going to take that down slightly.
Someone's asked, do you always use finer teeth on the comb? Do you ever switch to the wider teeth?
Yeah, absolutely. I do switch to the wider teeth quite often, actually. I think the difference for me is, first of all, when I'm sectioning, I always use the wide teeth for the comb, and then for grooming, I'd always use the small teeth. But if I want a softer outcome, as in I don't need such precision in my work, I'll still tend to use precision techniques to get softer outcomes. But for example, if I'm working on someone with slightly wavier hair and I want to see the expansion slightly better, then I'll move to a wider tooth comb. The other time is as well, which can be really helpful, is when you're working through hairlines or areas where the skin's stretchy. And I'll show you what I mean. So for example, through here, if I show you on Amber's skin, if I pull this out, can you see how the skin stretches away? So if I come in with the small teeth, that's going to be stretching the skin too much, and I'm not going to get a true visual of what I've done. So instead I would switch to a wider tooth, and therefore not pulling the skin out as much. So I'm going to get a truer finish to what I want to create. So let me know if that answered your question. I hope it did, but if not, then I'll have another go. So I'm going to work in the same way that I did in the fringe, working 1 to 2, or 2 to 1, sorry. So I'm going to get rid of a part of my first section. I'm going to bring into number 2. And I'm going to comb number 2 into number 1. Now by combing it this way, I'm more inclined to over-direct it to my previous section. If I comb it from this side, I'm more inclined to bring it out on the base, or what we would call round. So I'm going to comb it from this side, making sure that I've only got enough hair that I can handle. And you can see that there would be my fringe, and I'm just leaving that slightly longer. So if this hair does sit forward, it'll allow it to have a bit of separation in the fringe. Like the question earlier, you know, I want to make this work wherever Amber wants to wear her hair, so that's really important to me that we get that right. So I'm always kind of thinking about my lengths. I think really that's all hair cutting is, really, isn't it? If you think about it, it's just choice of length. So where you're placing length is what you're creating.
James, would you recommend any combs?
Yeah, I would actually. I mean, I really love Wyeth's Park combs, but we do quite a lot of thick curly hair here at Cuttlefish. We specialise in curly hair, so you know, hopefully we'll be able to get do another one of these and get a cool like curly haircut for you. That'd be amazing. But what I found was sometimes, you know, using finer combs, they can snap quite often. So I always now use buoys. I've got a couple of wide parts as well that I'll use for certain things, but I really love these buoys. And I'll show you like this other one. This one here. So you've got the slightly finer teeth and the wider tooth one. This for scissor over comb is the best thing I've ever used. I absolutely love it. So yeah, that would be my preference. What about you guys? Have any of you used buoys before? Do you have a preference in what you use? You just let us know. Let us know in the comments. Okay, so this is going to be my last section now on this side. And if you can just come around this side a little bit, I just want to show that I'm now actually starting to elevate up the hair that we cut in underneath. Now the reason I'm doing that is because I want to layer out this whole top area. Now, look how high I'm elevating. We're not here, but up higher. Now, what that's doing is it's removing more weight internally, but less weight externally. You think the more that we lift this, the more hair falls out here. So it means that we're leaving more weight towards our line. Because I want to create that slightly stronger line through there that Amber then can either expose or she can cover up. I'm just going to come and do a little cross check through there. Make sure that we're nice and clean working through. And again, I'm always kind of pushing the sections I'm not working on. I'm always just grooming them away so everything's looking nice and clean as I work. Like I said, I think it is really nice, you know, not just for you, but for your client. So guys, please let us know where you're tuning in from. If you have any questions, give us a shout. Now, when we do cross-checking, right, cross-checking is such an integral part of cutting hair because it's not, you know, you're not always with your trainer. We're not robots. We don't do everything perfect every time. So we need to check our own work. And even these little millimeters that I'm dusting now, that's going to make a difference to how Amber's hair grows out. So the whole point of it is just being, that's what precision is, you know, it's perfecting. So if we think about what short hair and long hair does to each other, what shorter hair, shorter hair will push long hair. So even if I've got a tiny little corner in my line, when that sits, it's not going to sit as perfect if we've got that little bump. So by all means, create a corner if you're trying to, you know, if you want to create a corner. But if there's something tiny little, you know, specks will make that difference, especially as the hair grows out. Alright guys, so just a quick recap of what we've done so far. So I've started off working my fringe section, just layering down, just layering down over direction back to the previous to create a nice rounded fringe through here. I've then worked my line in the front, working everything down onto the fingers, onto the skin, sorry. Okay, same on both sides, balancing. And now I'm just working through layering that area at the top. And then as that sits, you'll see that you can still see that line in there. And some of that hair will sit over, so you get this kind of little peekaboo effect where that can just sort of sit through, and we can show it off as much or as little as we want. So I just need to now repeat that on the same side, same as in the fringe. I'm going to stand on the opposite side now to maintain balance. I'm just going to make sure the hair I'm not working on is nice and cleanly groomed out the way. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I want to thank Hairbrain so much for having us. Such an amazing platform. You know, being able to share education with everyone. I think it's such an important part of our job. You know, as hairdressers, I'm continually learning, everyone's continually learning. And that's a huge thing for us here at Cuttlefish is, you know, we really don't have any ego. We really just want to share with each other, learn from each other, and enjoy our job, you know, do hair. I think sometimes we forget why we got into this. It's such an amazing way to express creativity through cutting hair, and even just sitting down with George earlier, and you know, going through what I was doing with the haircut, and then him bouncing off that and coming up with ideas for the colour. It's just such a lovely thing to do, to share your passion with one another. Guys, if you have any questions, please let us know. Please let us know where you're tuning in from. It'd be great to know. I'm just going to finish off working through these couple of last sections for you here now. So again, I'm elevating nice and high. I'm working only up to that first knuckle. Making sure that all the hair is combed through very cleanly. If your hair's not combed cleanly, it can't be cut cleanly. So for example, what I mean by that is if I kind of have this saggy root here, doesn't matter how clean I cut the line, it won't be clean if the combing's not clean. And I think that's such an important, one of the hardest things actually is probably combing hair. I know it sounds like it's very easy, but getting it right can be really quite difficult. What do you think, guys? What do you think? Let me know how you find your combing.
So how would we book a course with you, James?
So you can go onto our website. We've got a link. There's a link on my Instagram, which is James Akers Hair, and we've got a new Instagram that we've created. Like I said, we're quite new here, but the Instagram is Cuttlefish Academy, and then you can also check us out on Cuttlefish Eco Salons on Instagram. Now, we have got some exciting news this evening. We are actually going to be releasing our first course. Now, the way we do our courses, we have two different types of courses. We have a 2-day course, which is precision haircutting, split into different shapes. So we're looking at the foundations of the geometric haircuts. So you'll be looking at, the first one we're releasing is going to be Series 1, Triangle. And we're going to be looking at everything triangle. So triangle line, triangle layers, and triangle graduation. So the reason we start with that one is probably because it's the most popular in the salon that we do, depending on where you work, I guess. But also I feel like it's a nice introduction to what we do here. We have 2 other courses. We've also worked with the round and square, and then we have a 1-day curly hair specialist course, where we get really amazing curly dolls in, and we look at creating shape through those. Okay, so let me just give you a little clean that round up. That must be annoying. Alright, cool. So this is starting to take shape how I want it to now. I've got my texture, I've got my strength in my line, and then at the end, when we're finished, after I blow dry, that's when I'm going to be doing all my refining and really, you know, perfecting what we've got and bringing everything together. So now, just back to the haircut for a moment, I'm going to be working on this underneath panel. Now I know we want to keep a lot of this length, okay, but we want to get rid of a lot of the weight through here. And I'm going to show you a little quick way that you can do that. I'm just going to make sure the hair's nice and wet down.
We had someone ask if we were live from the UK.
We are live from the UK, yes. We are have you guys heard of Brighton? So we're down on the coast, we're about an hour down from London. It's such a cool scene. If you haven't been, then I'd suggest you come. It's such a great place. I moved down here from London about a year ago and I absolutely love it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, rather than coming through in vertical sections and elevating this all out like this and working, 2 to 1, I'm going to do it a quicker way because I know I want to lift everything quite high and get everything together. Make sure it's all coming through nicely, like I said earlier, homing is such an integral part, precision cutting. And I'm going to elevate everything right up, and I can just come and check by pulling a bit of hair from the underneath that I'm not cutting my line off. Into my fingers, start to work that down. I'm just making sure that I'm working this really nice and flat across the top. And the reason why we're working it flat across the top is because as the head rounds away from us here, we're going to be building weight into the corner. Because the hairline comes up, we want to leave weight there, so we don't take away all the weight. Now when working with disconnection, it took me many years to kind of get it to look tasteful. I think, I don't know about you guys, but when I started cutting hair, I just wanted to do the craziest haircuts in the world, do you know what I mean? And I wanted to shave little bits and leave long bits and do all this mad stuff. And by wanting to do that, I think I lacked my foundations quite a lot. So then having to go back and really work on those, I found that the foundations are really the hard part. The creative bit is quite easy. But what's the hard thing about working with disconnection is making it look good. So understanding how the hair falls, because it's irrelevant what you do up here. What really matters is what happens down here when the hair falls down. So it's understanding and always being able to think three-dimensionally to understand what the haircut's doing. So guys, if you're liking this, please give us a thumbs up. I'm really excited to show you the end here because, it will all come together at the end. I always say kind of, a lot of the time, 20% of the work at the end really does create 80% of the finished outcome, like the finished look. So I've really planned out what we were going to do on Amber before we started, so I kind of mapped out my haircut, just like you would do with the colour. Okay, so what we can see now, if I show you where my lengths are, we've got this much shorter layered length in here, but we've still maintained our length through the bottom. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this next section, I'm just going to make sure that this hair isn't going to interfere. And this will up below. So I'm going to show you what I mean. By working from here, working shorter into longer, I'm now going to work shorter into longer again. So this hair is going to collapse and fall over my shortest point in the underneath. That's going to allow it to not look heavy or liny, okay? So always when working with disconnection, we have two kinds of disconnection. We have internal and we have external. Now, this is going to be more of like a hidden disconnection, something much more internal, because the hairs are all going to marry quite nicely. Whereas something like here is going to be quite external in the disconnection, because you can see quite a strong difference in the lengths. Okay, so I'm going to choose my length from here now. And again, I really want to create a lot of texture through here, so I'm going to take this down a fair bit. And again, same with this will be slightly longer in my shortest point in the underneath. So it's almost like different tiers of layering. So you can see my length from the underneath here. Now I'm going to just elevate that up. Actually, look, I might just get you to come and stand on this side, that's okay. Perfect. So there's my disconnection in the underneath. I'm going to lift this up. Remember, the more we lift, the more we remove internally, the less we remove externally. So I want to really take that length down through there, but then leave enough weight for it to sit over that length. So that should marry really nicely. So now I'm just going to pivot around and working back onto that section. So guys, if you've just joined us, welcome. I'm James Akers. We're here at the beautiful Cuttlefish Academy in the UK, in Brighton and Hove. And this is the lovely model Amber. And we've got Liv and Fabio behind the camera to answer any questions. So if you have any questions, please let us know. Please let us know where you're tuning in from as well. And I will do a recap for you in just a minute when I finish through this side. So, my section started vertically, and as I'm working around the head, I'm starting to move to more of a diagonal. Okay, now, the reason I'm doing that is, first of all, it allows me to work around the head better. If you think that the head is round, so I'm keeping this shorter in here, and I want to really create more length into that bottom corner. So what I'll be doing by doing this, I'll actually be over-directing the bottom area more. If that makes sense. So this will be over, you can see that this is travelling further than the hair at the top, which is going to give me this length to sit and kick over the stronger line that we've got through there. Guys, if you're liking what you see, please like and share the video. We're so grateful for you to join us this evening. It's 7:30ish. Yeah, about 7:30. Monday evening in Brighton. Let us know where you're tuning in from, what time it is there. It'd be great to hear. And again, if you're liking it, please like and share the video. We're really grateful. Okay, so I'm just going to carry on working the same way over direction to that point. So creating more length towards the front. Has anybody got any questions about anything? Please just let us know. So we are here, one of, I believe, the first eco academies in the UK. One of. So we've got the Green Salon Collective that we work with. I don't know if Fabio wants to have a little say about the ethos of the company.
Yeah, I mean, the Green Salon Collective that we work with, they're UK based, and they take all our hair, they make it into sea booms that go into the ocean and help with oil spills. They also take all our cardboard and paper, make the cardboard paper. All our metal gets made into new metals, and all the profits go to charity. But we try and be as green as possible, where possible. We opened in 1990, I think Steve started it.
1990, yeah.
In Brighton, and then we moved on to Lewis, and I've just opened Hove. It's really exciting.
It's really exciting. Thanks so much, Fabio. Yeah, so we're in the south of the country. So we're right on the seafront down here, which is lovely. The salons are based. The Brighton salon is based right in the North Lanes, which is a really kind of cool, fun area. I've actually to come around this side now. Let me show you that other side. Which is a really cool area. The North Lanes. I think we're one of the longest trading companies there.
I think we are.
Yeah, the longest trading. So yeah, it's a really cool little exciting new venture then to come into Hove, and this will be Cuttlefish's first academy. So I've worked in education for a number of years now, And I'd always known about cuttlefish and known about their ethos, and really wanted, you know, to try and set something up where we could work together. And you know, amazingly, we've got this beautiful space with our first course coming in hot end of August. So yeah, it's going to be really exciting, and hopefully we'll be able to do, you know, do some more of these videos for you guys as well. It'd be really cool. Love to see you all back. So guys, just to go over where we are, just going through now my last little zone, working exactly the same way as the other side, sorry. And again, my fingers are parallel to my section. My body has switched directions, because as humans, we have tendencies to pull towards us. So if I want to over direct something back more, I'm going to stand behind where I'm pulling the hair. If I was to stand the same side, I'm much more likely to be shorter on one side and longer on the other. So little tips like this can just help you control your haircuts and get a bit more balance throughout. Now after this, I'm going to do a quick recap for you. I'm going to do a bit of cross-checking, and then I'll start drying, so you can start to see how this is going to look. But guys, yeah, if you have any questions, please ask. Please give us a big thumbs up if you're liking what you see. And thanks again so much to Hairbrain for having us. I'm really grateful. So again, you can see now that as the sections are moving round, this hair is travelling further, which is giving me more length behind the ear. So I'm giving more length towards there. Still working with layering, so we've done a little bit of a line through that front, but other than that, we've worked everything within layering through here, because I wanted that really soft finish to the haircut. And we know that layering is a removal of weight, so therefore we're going to have a much lighter finish through at the end. Guys, let us know where you're tuning in from. Give us a thumbs up. Okay. So that is the structure of the haircuts finished. So we've got this really beautiful colour running through the underneath here as well, which is hopefully just going to pop out when we dry it. You'll be able to see that a little bit more as it dries and we refine it. But I'm just going to do a really quick recap for you now. Hello, thank you so much for joining us, guys. What time is it in Florida? I'm just going to get the natural part back through. Start to see this really coming together. It's beautiful, isn't it? What I'll do, guys, I have got the colour written down somewhere. So it is Davines. And what I'll do is I'll write in the comments afterwards what the colour it was that the Marvellous George used.
It's 2:30 p.m.
2:30. Whole day ahead. How does it work over there? Do you guys normally work on Mondays or not? I think it used to be really popular here to close on a Monday in the UK, but not so much anymore. Alright, so I'm really liking what we've got here. I'm starting to like what we see. So I can see we've got this really kind of longer, softer fringe. I can just spin them around slightly. You can see that we've got this nice kind of stronger line through here. But if we look at the actual length through here, you know, we've got that's still quite layered, so that should move really nicely. And then with all these different areas of disconnection, so if I pull this all out, you'll see the different areas of disconnection that we have. So from the underneath, from Rome, oh, fabulous, Italian. Let's get some Italian to you. Okay. So you can see in that underneath area, there's our first layer. We've elevated that right up. Then in our next section, I have this other layer through here, working through. and then that top section just sitting over. So it's really like a cascading, like 3 tiers of layering. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to prep the hair with a little bit of product. Because the hair has been freshly bleached today, I'm just going to use the Davines Oil Milk, and then I'm going to work with an oil and the Love Smooth as well. Do any of you guys work with Davines in your salons? Let me know. I've used their stuff for years and just really love it. I think it actually works really beautifully. So just and again, like I said earlier, I think that with this haircut, it's going to be something that really comes alive as we refine it at the end. So after we blow dry, I'm going to sit through and work in just visually my lines and breaking up any areas that we need to. But I don't think the blow dry should take too long. But Amber's actually got really beautifully straight, like glassy hair, so it makes my life a little bit easier. Okay.
Would this haircut work on other textures?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think, you know, the reason why I've chosen to do something like this on Amber's hair is, first of all, she wanted something like this. So, you know, I think that you always have to have communication between you and your client, and it's got to work, you know, for your client, and you've got to obviously put your input. But on thicker hair, using disconnection to remove weight is a huge thing. I do it so often, just in the salon, just using areas of invisible disconnection. Something like this might be a little bit stronger for the salon, but all of this area, you know, I use stuff like this like day to day, just to remove weight without it being so visible. I feel like a lot of people want layers in their hair, or don't want layers in their hair, sorry, but they want the weight removed. So this is a really great way to remove weight without it looking layered. So guys, if you can still hear me, let me know. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to work with a wrap drying technique. So I'm going to use a vest brush, which is a 9-row vest brush, so a slightly bigger one, so I can hold a bit more hair. And the reason I'm working with wrap drying is I just want to create the natural volume and shine out of Amber's hair. So I'm working forward and around the head, and then assessing how it's looking as we go. So guys, welcome to our Hairbrain live takeover. My name's James Akers. We're at Cuttlefish Academy in Brighton and Hove. This is the beautiful model Amber. We've got Liv and Fabio filming and answering your questions for us. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you do have any questions, please just let us know. Give us a like and share as well. Now I'm just going to quickly touch on the blow dry. Can you see that as I've started working through to the right hand side, I've swapped hands. When I was working in the left, I'd have my brush in the left. As I'm wrapping the hair forward around the head. And then as I move into the right, I'm going to swap hands. Start wrapping the hair forward around here. I'm just going to move Amber around so we don't have to move. And just start working on this front area now. So guys, let us know, do you guys ever wrap dry? Do you use round brushes mainly? What do you tend to go for when you're blow drying? Does it vary depending on your clients?
What brush is best for wrap drying?
So different brushes have different benefits. And the main difference in brushes is tension. So if you want something to be much softer, then you've got like a vent or a paddle brush. Then as soon as you start to want a little bit more tension, then this is called a vest brush, V-E-S brush. And as you can see, the difference to a Denman is it's slightly more rounded and the bristles are a bit softer. So we've got here, if you just have a little look here, we've got a 7-row and a 9-row. So these are better for shorter areas and to pick up more tension and get more bevel. And this is better for slightly larger areas of hair. On longer hair, I want something to be softer. I tend to use more of a paddle brush because it has a bigger surface area as well. But yeah, for 9 times out of 10, for wrap dries, I'll use a vest brush.
And no nozzle.
Pardon?
No nozzle.
No, so the reason reason why we don't use a nozzle when we're wrap drying is because we're actually getting the brush to do all the work, alright? If I use the nozzle, what I'm doing is I'm concentrating the heat in an area. Whereas actually what I don't want to do is concentrate the heat. You know, as I said at the beginning of this haircut, if you missed it, that we get, you know, when we're doing a haircut, when I do a haircut specifically, what I'm really looking for is for the hair to be able to move and work wherever we place it. So that's what wrap drying really helps with, and using the nozzle disperses the air more, so it's much better. However, after I've wrap dried, if I want to polish the hair out more, then I'd come into more of a tension dry, and that I would use a nozzle for. So I'm really liking the way that this is all starting to form. It's funny, isn't it? With bleached hair, you can't really see the layers when it's wet. As soon as it starts to dry, everything really starts to pop out. You're right under there, Amber? Yeah. Just bashing your head around. I'm not hurting you, am I?
No, you're alright.
I'm just coming in, just getting a little bit of bevel, a bit of a finish through there. So you can start to see this little shape just starting to form through here.
Someone's asking what blow dryer you're using. What hair dryer?
So this is a Dyson actually. So I started using it for doing videos like this because it was a little bit quieter, and then I just sort of fell in love with it. It's very controversial, I think, the Dyson, isn't it? Some people love it, some people hate it.
I love it.
You love it. Liv loves it.
Yeah, I don't.
Fab hates
No,
it. There you go. That's how controversial it is.
Really?
Yeah, Alex for life.
I used to have Parlux. when
What
I
about
had
you
one.
guys? Let us know. Have you tried the Dyson? Do you like it?
I'll give it design.
The design's
on
good.
point, which is very important.
And because we diffuse hair a lot, I just find I've always gone through life having diffusers that flew off the end of my hairdryer. And this one, because it's magnetic, it just works really well. You can really see the colour coming to life now, can't you? You see that? It's beautiful. It's just, again, it's almost like the haircut, how you've got this softness with a little bit of strength. I feel like George has done an amazing job in marrying that with the colour.
Using a natural colour range as well.
Yeah, natural colour range. I don't know much about that, by the way, do you?
But I don't do colour personally. Unfortunately, George couldn't stick around and go through the colour process. But yeah, he's used Douglas, so I think James is going to put it in the comments afterwards.
Yeah,
But they're a lovely company. I think Douglas are one of the only default companies in the world, I'm pretty sure.
for hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
The
amazing.
colour range is like 98%.
98% naturally derived.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing when something's that natural to still get these finishes, you know, it's incredible. So I'm just coming through now. Now all the roots are nice and dry. And I'm just going to come through and just polishing off those ends.
Nick says stunning haircut.
Thank you so much. Nick Jones?
Yeah.
And just by moving that hair around, I'm letting it sit where it wants. So then I'll cut it to how Amber's hair will naturally sit, which means that when Amber's at home, she's not going to struggle with it, you know?
What's the haircut called, James?
That's a good question. So, essentially because we've used this connection, it's not one pure technique or shape, but what it consists of is a line that we've then layered and then worked in various zones of different round layering. So we've done everything. When we talk, by the way, sorry, when we talk about round, square and triangle, we're talking about the shape, so whether it's getting longer towards the front or the back, or whether it's balanced. So through the top, as you can see, if I pull this out, we can see that we're quite clearly round because we're shorter at the front, getting longer towards the back. Then to oppose that length, I want it to go shorter in the back to get longer towards the front. So you can see the layering through here, it kind of does this. As I said earlier, short hair kind of pushes long hair. So naturally that's going to start to curve around and work around through here. So I'm just going to now just start to have a little look. I'm just going to spin arm around. Just have a look at how it's sitting. So hard cutting hair, not in a mirror. It's when you're used to it all the time, it's crazy how different it is. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to start to refine, first of all, my stronger area, so my little line through here. And like I said earlier, by putting my tension on there, you can see that I've got this little bit of graduation in the line, which just helps that colour pop out a little bit and keeps it soft. And I don't want this to be too aggressive, so I'm just going to use the points of my scissors just to bring that graduation into the line slightly. I still want to keep quite a tough exterior on it.
What size scissors are you using?
So these are 5 inches. I'd go between, I've got a pair of 5 inches and a pair of 4.5. And the reason being is because I don't really tend to need much bigger. And the reason is, if I show you, you know how I say I only worked to my first knuckle? That's about the size of my blade. If I had a big 6-inch or 7-inch pair of scissors, I feel like I'd just be cutting my fingers off every day. But I can understand that there is a time and a place for it. Sometimes, if I'm scissor over combing or if I'm working on freehand afro hair, I do have a pair of like 6-inch scissors that I'll use for that. So I think it's all just dependent on, you know, on what you do more of. I mean, I guess naturally that's why barbers use bigger scissors, right? Because they tend to be working with more scissor over comb. But yeah, for me, I feel like with precision work, I much prefer a smaller scissor. Liv getting right in there. She's been trained, hasn't she? So just minimal happening, but when everything comes together, that's what it's about. Now I want to take, you see how this is just a little bit heavy in this front area. So again, I'm just working really visually now. And come through. Just start to take some of that weight out of the front. Can you see now that I'm using the wider teeth and the wider comb? The reason being is because I don't want to fix the hair too much. I want to allow the hair to do what it wants. And I can still control it with the wider tooth. But I'm being much less precise, so I don't need to use the small tooth for my comb. And that, by just pointing through where these areas disconnect, it's just going to soften the connection through that. And then with this fringe, I'm just going to keep it really visual, slice some bits out. So as it moves, you get this quite erratic finish to it. So guys, please let us know where you're tuning in from. If you're liking what you see, stick your thumbs up, give us a like and a share. And if you have any questions, please let me know. When we finish the haircut, I'll recut everything that we've done. So if you have tuned in late, don't worry, we'll go through it. And also, this video will still be on the Hairbrain page, so you can go back through and watch it if you so wish. just making sure that I'm working in to the hair quite directly. And what I mean by that is I'm not using too much of an angle. The more of an angle my scissors go on, the more weight I'm going to take out. Whereas I don't want to take out loads of weight, I just want to soften those ends where they're sitting. Now I'm just going to work through again, just pointing through the whole shape. How's your hands, Liv?
What's your ring saying?
Oregon City.
Oregon. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying this. Nice bit of education for a Monday. You can see quite clearly the disconnection we've got in through here now. So just by pointing that through, I'm not getting rid of it. I'm just going to make it a slightly softer blend for that. Now the reason I'm using the points of my scissors and not a razor or a thinning scissor, I'm not one of those people that are completely against that, I'm not. But I just think that there's a time and a place. And with the density of the hair that we're working on, I just feel like I would have more control using a scissor to take the weight out where I want it. What about you guys? Would you say that you tend to use more thinning scissors and razors? Do you like to just use your scissors and your comb? Let me know. But what I think is great about precision hair cutting is that we've really created here quite almost like a razored, really textured look.
Would you ever use thinning scissors?
Yeah, I would.
Or
Yeah,
texturisers?
absolutely. Yeah, I think
You
there's.
don't own a pair, do you?
No, I don't, but I'll borrow yours. I think that there's a time and a place for everything, you know. I think that the reason why they've got such a bad rap is because people use them more to hide mistakes as opposed to using them for, you know, for getting a certain look. But I think that, yeah, I think they're an amazing tool.
Someone's tuning in from St. Louis.
Oh, amazing. Where's St. Louis? Let us know.
St. Louis.
St. Louis.
I don't know if it's St. Louis or St. Louis.
St. Louis sounds
I
familiar.
never know. I think it might be St. Louis.
We're pretty bad at geography here, guys. Okay, I'm just going to come through this last section now, which is in the back area. And I'm just going to come and break this up. See, I'm still taking sections. I'm being a little bit looser. I'm still taking sections. So you can see I've short a panel through there.
Liv, you can read that one out.
Yeah, thanks.
I think it's Italian.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah.
I could have just insulted somebody.
Well, welcome, wherever you're from.
Switzerland.
Switzerland, amazing. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. So, quick recap, guys. My name's James Akers. I'm the creative director here at Cuttlefish Academy. We have the gorgeous, gorgeous Amber, who's given me the pleasure of allowing me to cut her hair today. This beautiful colour was done by our senior colourist George, and we have Liv and Fab behind the camera. I'm just going to do a quick recap of the haircut, and I'm going to go into just styling it a little bit and getting the finished look for you. Okay, so let me try and remember. So we started off working through the fringe, a little rounded layered fringe. So when I say round, I mean short at the front, getting longer towards the back. And then on the horizontal, we were working more of a concave shape, so getting longer in the corners, shorter in the front. That's allowed that to then fall longer around the side of the face. But we then worked into our line at the front, which we worked in through our fingers to get a slightly graduated edge, and just worked that all down onto the skin through the fingers. I then come through and elevated everything up and layered this again round, shorter to longer, slightly longer than my my fringe. So if you were looking at it from a side angle, you'd have this sort of shape. Okay.
Oh, Canada.
Canada. Hello, Canada. Welcome.
Whereabouts in Canada?
Yeah, let us know. So as we're working through here, we've gone shorter in the front, longer at the back in a layer. So that again is a rounded layer, and we've over-directed everything just back to the previous. So just building slightly more length towards where the head rounds away. Okay. Now, we then came through into the back, and we had a section that sort of came, head down, a section that came across like this, and I picked everything up horizontally and just worked that down, okay? And what that's given us is this really nice layered shape on the underneath. So that reduces all that weight. You can see now, we've kept our length, but we've got a really nice softer outline, which is what we wanted to create. We wanted to take the weight out of the length, but still maintain it. Then on the next layer, again, similar to the front, we work shorter to longer through here, we then work shorter to longer through here. So then as that sits, that collapse on top of each other, which you'll see if I pull this up, you can see that fall and then that fall over the top. It just creates this really nice soft finish, but giving that quite an erratic texture. Okay, let's have a little look at the amber.
So we've got Vegas, Quebec.
Vegas,
Beautiful
wow.
shape.
Amazing. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Please, if you like what you see, please like and share the video. I'm so grateful. And I just like how you can kind of turn this in, you know, if Amber wanted to tie that up, she could almost have like a little short haircut, you know, but then she's still got all this length. And if she didn't want to see the shorter bits, as soon as that's worked forward. So it's really quite versatile. Whatever I do with this hair, you know, like I said, it's still going to work. Wherever you place it, it's going to look nice. All right, let's get a little bit of product through here now. And then I'll bring Amber up for you. So I'm just using a little bit, again, of the Davines Invisible Serum through here. And that just kind of gives it that almost a bit of a second day dirty kind of feel to it. I think for the sake of today, you style it a little bit more erratic in the texture, so you can see that. Keep using that word, and I don't know, like erratic. But so we can really kind of see the difference between the lengths. Just using a bit of this dry texture spray now, just to show off some of the texture we've got through there. All right. There we have it. Let me just hit this up with you. And then I'll still stand up for me. Look. There we go. Everyone should separate. Okay, amazing. Right, so, like I said, I'm James Akers. I'm the creative director here at the Cuttlefish Academy. This is Amber. I'm going to really quickly again just go through the haircut with you. So we've just worked a shorter little fringe, working layers shorter into longer, over directing everything back into the middle. Working our little line through here, but then layering that out. Layering into this underneath through here, keeping more length towards the corners, so we've got this area to kick out through there. And then again layering shorter into longer, building length towards this area. I really hope you like it, guys. Thank you so much for having us. My name's James Akers. We're at Cuttlefish Academy. We'll see you soon.